Today we're talking about why the INFJ's life gets better with age. INFJs are known to be old souls, and that comes from the fact that we like to contemplate a lot. We think about deep issues. We aren't all about those superficial things, but the truth is that we start this contemplation process at a very, very young age. And it doesn't come out in the healthiest way. Most of the INFJs, when they're younger, really struggle with those feelings of being different, of self-acceptance, and really finding out what things we can change and what things we cannot change. Later on, we actually recognize that there are certain things that we can change, other things we just have to accept, and that opens up an entirely new game plan. So very often when others get to a place where they just kept on living their daily life and they get to a place where they recognize, okay, something needs to change, like this is not going well, and they start this contemplation process, we have been at this game for a long time. And that's when you see the table actually turning. When you see the INFJ starting to enjoy their life and their life keeps getting better, when it seems like others continue a downward spiral. So today we're going to talk about what the INFJ can learn from this realization, how we can actually live out our life even better, maybe even be a great example for others and inspire others to be as lively and as happy as we can be, and how we can actually accelerate this process so we can feel better even sooner and start embracing life to the fullest. Before we get started, remember the next INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp starts this Saturday, so March 26th. And you have a free masterclass here on YouTube. It's a live stream to join. Be there. So make sure you're on the waiting list for the bootcamp so you get access to the early bird price. You don't miss the launch date. And if you have still questions, then join the free masterclass. You can ask your questions and get more information. Everything that you need to know, you can find in the links in the description. INFJs are all about personal development. But guess what? Personal development actually comes into play when you've been contemplating for a while, because the first probably decades of contemplation are full of thoughts like, what is wrong with me? Why doesn't anybody understand me? I'm looking for this connection, and somehow people are all just superficially going throughout the world and I'm not able to connect with them at all, and that makes me feel lonely. Those are a lot of the first years for the INFJ, and it comes with a lot of heaviness, it comes with a lot of pain. But the good side of this is at some point you realize, okay, there's just so much I can think about. There's just so much that I can wallow in. There's just so much pain I can endure. Like, why am I doing this for? Continuously thinking about the same thing and not changing anything isn't going to make me better. And you might say, okay, we all sort of know this, but we know this now. We didn't know this the first decades that we were thinking about this. We didn't know this when we were teenagers or in our early 20s. We know these things now after having lived for a while, after having seen things in the world, after having experienced hardships. And that's why you see so many INFJs getting into personal development at an age that is younger than, let's say, most other people, because we have already done the steps. See, you have to think about it. Let's say an average person who is all about the day-to-day life, they experience life, they go throughout, let's say, their teenage years, they go to college or not, start their own lives, and at some point they recognize, okay, the years keep passing, but I'm not developing. I don't feel any better. I don't see my life improving. And that's when people get really upset about getting older, because the only thing that changes is the number. They're still the person that they were at a younger age. And that's the moment where all of those deep thoughts come up. And that's the point when people start thinking about, oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy? And it takes a while before people actually start this process of, going inside, understanding that the solution is there. And, for a lot of people who aren't into personal development or who aren't so contemplative as INFJs are, they never get to that place. They might just get bitter and get angry, and you see them all around you. The INFJ on average, though, gets this concept much quicker because we start so much earlier with these deep thoughts, right? We don't need to experience things in order to feel them very deeply. And that's just a reverse approach to it. So when you get to this place where you've gone through all of this hardship and all this pain, and you start this active approach to personal development, you also let go of a lot of thoughts. You understand that there is no sense in me thinking about this pain over and over again. No, I'm going to start enjoying day-to-day life. It has also a lot to do with the way our functions are set up, right? Because it takes a while for us to develop our lower functions, and that includes extroverted sensing, which means living in reality, living in the day-to-day, enjoying the world for what it is today. But the older the INFJ gets, the more they recognize that this is an important aspect, that it's not just about contemplation and understanding, but it's also about living and experiencing and enjoying life to the fullest. When it comes to living that INFJ epic life that I'm all about, that I want to bring closer to everybody who's listening, it's not just about, experiencing life in a way of, I'm going to meet friends and I'm going to have a barbecue. It is also about living in your truth. And what better way to live out your truth than if you've gotten to a point where you know, I don't need to prove myself to anybody else. I have already felt judged, misunderstood, and rejected for the longest time. I have nothing to lose. That is a place where you can really turn your life around. So I really encourage every INFJ who gets to this place where you feel like, I continuously try to tell people something and they don't understand me, and I always feel misunderstood or misjudged. At some point you get to a place where you say, that's just reality. People are not going to get me, at least not the majority. Like, what am I going to do out of that? And that's where the fun really begins. Because you have to accept a certain kind of pain. You have to accept certain things are not going to change. And this acceptance is the biggest freedom. It really closes so many doors and so many of those contemplation processes that you thought you could change. That you just have to change something about you, that you just have to wait, or you're going to meet this one person that is going to understand you. If you get to a place where we all think differently, this isn't going to change, that does not mean that I will not find my own happiness, but I will find it in other places. I will find it in me being myself, in me living out my INFJ epic life, in me doing the extraordinary thing, in me saying, people might judge me, people might look at me weird, but what do I have to lose? I already know no matter what I try, people are not going to accept me the way I am, so I'm free. And that's where the biggest fun actually starts. That's why so many INFJs enjoy their life more and more with age, because they recognize that, nobody cared to begin with. And since nobody cared to begin with, I can be myself. I can say all those things that I was afraid of saying because of judgment. People are gonna judge you anyway. And the best part about it is once you start living that truth, once you start doing the extraordinary thing, the thing that people find is all weird and esoteric, as in you move to, a secluded island, or you start your own blog, or you share your message that most people have no interest in or no connection with, you actually find your tribe. And that tribe isn't about, those 5 people who live in my neighborhood. It's not even that you say, I'm going to do a YouTube video or I'm going to have a blog post, and then, I'm going to finally be accepted by the people I know. No, it's people that you're not aware of, that for the first time will start seeing you, because for the first time ever, you're starting to show the world who you really are. And it's an incredible feeling. It's such a freedom that comes with it. And the more you stick with it, the more you get absorbed in this world, you recognize how many more people like this actually exist. And it's not just INFJs. I'm so grateful that we live in this day and age, because it allows us to connect with people all over the world. It allows us to connect on topics, on worldviews. and to start building communities in any kind of capacity that are all about this holistic living, enjoying life to the fullest. And we all have different things that we care about. Some of us are all about nature, others are vegan, others have an incredible understanding of spirituality and a connection to that. You can find yourself within that and define life on your terms. And since the INFJ is a contemplative type and they have gone through all of this process of suffering so much in their early ages, then when we get to, adulthood and we continue on, we actually get to tap deeper and deeper into it. We just have to allow this for us to happen. You deserve happiness. You don't have to play by everybody's rules. You don't have to accept that you're always going to be lonely or always going to be misunderstood by absolutely everybody. But in order to get that, we have to be okay if we do. We have to be okay if we're lonely. We have to be okay being judged, being misunderstood. Because in order for us to step out of that and actually create something new where we can be seen, guess what you have to do? You have to first stop judging yourself. You first have to get to a place where you really accept yourself and where you pretty much stop hiding altogether. It's not like you have to tell every person that you meet what your convictions are and what you're all about, but your life represents that. The choices that you're making represent the person that you are. Live out your INFJ epic life, guys. It's going to be amazing. Remember, if you want some more support and accountability and just inspiration around this topic and people who are all in this together, creating the INFJ epic life, then join the boot camp we launched this Saturday. So we have a free masterclass this day. Make sure you're on that waiting list. All the information you find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video Why the INFJ Ages in Reverse.